Alright, what is up, my homies, and welcome to Day 2 Great Gaming. Well, it has been far too long since the Commonwealth Contractor picked up his tool belt, so today we're going to rectify that by going over how to construct a barracks facility. So we've done this a couple times at a few different settlements now, and there's been some requests for me to show how I go about building them. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. So as we're getting ready to construct this building, you're going to want to make sure that you have enough room for about a 10 square by 5 square foundation piece. So for this particular build site, I've already gone ahead and constructed a 3 by 8 concrete platform. So this is what we're going to build off of today. So first things first, we're going to build out each of our corners by 1 floor square in either direction. This is going to allow us to construct a 2 square by 2 square turret at each of the 4 corners. So we're going to be working almost entirely out of the barn and the warehouse build sets, although there will be some concrete build set as well. So those are going to be the major building materials you're going to want: concrete, wood, steel, and quite a bit of glass as well. All right, so first things first is we're going to enclose each of our turrets with just a solid barn wall. After that is complete, we're going to put a doorway at each end. Now you can do this with just one door at one end of the barracks, or you can do a walk-through barracks where you have a door at each end. In this case, I'm going to do a door at each end. And then for the rest of the building, we are going to alternate between a full barn wall and a half-height barn wall, and you'll see why in a minute. So after that, we're going to switch over to the warehouse build set, switch over to walls, and we're going to go all the way to the right until we reach the wall panel that is a solid pane of unbroken glass. And we're going to throw this in at the second level. So now we have some actual windows that let some sunlight in. We're also going to build up above the doorways 1 level as well. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to switch to this full height wall, because this gives you a little bit more of a viewing pane. This lets you actually look down through glass versus our second half glass, where you actually can only look up because of the height at which you have to set. So we're going to use these to build up our turrets. And so we're going to build a second layer onto our turrets, which allows us to look down and out over the surrounding area. And so once that's done, we need to fill in our roof. So we're going to go back to the barn roof just because it's a little bit cleaner. There's a little less exposed tar paper and such. And we will go ahead and use these angled roof pieces to build up along each of our inside walls. Next, we're going to go with this roof that has an end cap on one side. So there's an actual barn wall on one side of it. And we place this at each end cap between the turrets. And then we go one space over to this one that's designed to fit on the inside of the roof. And we just fill in the gaps. So this now gives us a nice spired peak to the inside of our barrack building. And now we just need to put a roof over our turrets. And so we're going to go back and select this 45 by 45 degree corner piece. And we're just going to place 4 of those in each turret. You can also do a flat top if you prefer that style. However, I kind of prefer this as it goes with the peak of the inside of the barracks just as well. Once all of our roofs are placed, then we're going to want to fill in these little gaps that we have left in our turret. There is not a solid pane of glass that will fit in this sheet here, so we're going to go ahead and use the barn siding just so that it gives us less air gaps. There's fewer holes rotten in it, and it gives you a solid piece of wood to work with to fill in that gap. And you'll need 2 for each style, one for each mirror angle. And then this last piece can be filled in with any half-height barn or warehouse roof. I already have some glass half-height stored, so we're just going to go ahead and use it. Although you really don't get any additional view from up here because all you can really see is the roof of your barracks. So now we have this big empty barracks building. Now we're going to want something to do with it. So we're going to try a couple different variations on each of the turrets. So for one of these, we're going to go with a turret where we're going to actually build additional rooms into the turrets. And so we're going with this solid wood barn flooring or warehouse flooring. Both of them are pretty much the same, just slightly different tones. And so we're going with a solid floor square. And then on this turret, we're going to go ahead and go with a grading roof. So then this gives us just kind of a see-through floor. It's practical, it's lightweight, but you don't really get the opportunity to build a fully enclosed room in here. Next, we're going to place these half-width floors on the outside ring of the turret. And then we're going to go back to our wood and do that back on the other side. Probably should have done that first. All right, so now that we have these solid floors, now we need to actually get up there. So we're going to go ahead and go to stairwells. Either the barn or the warehouse is going to have the proper stairs. And we're just going to place a stairwell up here on each of our four corners. This gives us the opportunity to come out and look out over our surrounding area. We have a nice observation post. Now we're going to build some rooms into our turrets that have the solid flooring. We're going to go over to the barn and we're going to select a doorway. And so in this turret, we're going to go with two separate rooms. And so we'll go over here and snap in a solid wall. So now we actually have two separate rooms in a single turret. If you'd like something a little larger, you could always just put in one door and then put in a solid wall, which gives you a single room with twice the capacity as our two double rooms on the other turret. So now we have a open bay berthing. You can either just throw a bunch of bunk beds in like it is now, or you can put individual barracks rooms, individual accommodations. So we'll go ahead and throw in some of those now. So I'm going to build 2 floor square deep accommodation. That one doesn't quite want to snap, so we won't waste our time with it. And then we just fill in our walls and make sure that each of these rooms has a doorway. And so now we have all of these rooms. You can fit about 2 bunks per room, and none of them currently have ceilings. So we can actually put in a sub-ceiling and actually get some additional loft storage out of the deal. And we're just going to snap them in up here on the top. And so now we have all of these recessed subroofs where you can actually throw different containers and have additional storage space. So I actually did that at some of my other sites where we have all of these different like suitcases and steamer trunks that are just packed full of additional objects and storage. So that gives you some in-world explanation if you're going for more of a minimalist build, why there isn't just garbage and junk laying around. You actually can have them store stuff in the storage lofts. So now the only real thing left is maybe if you want to put in some finishing touches like additional doors or some safety rails for your turrets. So the safety rail I generally like to use is the one that is located in the concrete build set. It tends to match the warehouse and barn stairwells quite nicely. And it doesn't look that out of place. And so there we go. We have all these nice handrails, not a lot of chance of falling off the edge. So you can see what it looks like if you try that with the expanded metal flooring. They tend to look just as at home when we're working with this style as well. So you have a few different variations, and you can use any handrail you want, but these are the ones I tend to like because they tend to go together quite well. And so there you have it. That is the Barracks facility, and it's actually pretty easy to put together. I really enjoy this because it's actually a geometrically complex shape compared to the concrete I normally work with, but it's also fairly functional. You get a fairly useful building with quite a bit of actual usable real estate without all of the wasted nonsense created by a lot of your more shacky shantytown type of construction. I would love to hear what you think about this building. Is this something that you would want to try and incorporate into your own settlement builds? Definitely let me know in the comments below. As always, if you have ideas for how to improve this, definitely let me know that as well. I always like to experiment and try different variations on a common theme. And with that, I think I'm ready to wrap up. So until next time, stay safe, and I hope to see you here next time on Gray Gaming.